Hello and welcome to Wizards and Warlords. This is my first Let's Play video. I'm running this game on Ubuntu Linux 18.04, which is the latest Ubuntu distribution as far as the video date is concerned. And well, let me show you what this game is all about. What I want to do is to show you the overall gameplay with the wizard, then show you combat, which is something you probably would have to play for a few turns before seeing, and then show you what the warlord is going to be. The warlord is not yet finished, so there's a bunch of things the developer hasn't yet applied in the warlord gameplay, but the wizard has been further developed, so it's a better option to show you what the game is all about. So without more ado, we are playing Wizards and Warlords. This is an early access title, so it really is lacking in features. It has a bunch of things that have not yet been implemented. You really cannot... I really don't advise you to get this game if you want a full game experience. You probably are not going to be able to conquer the world or play for a long time without hitting bugs or hitting not yet implemented features or mechanics. So this is a good project to try out, to support, to find out what's going on with this game, but it's not a full game yet. So, well, you can really customize your game. You have a bunch of features you can customize. You can customize the world size from a very small map to a huge map. You can customize planar invasions, which are a new feature I have not yet played. You have invasions from other planes occurring, so you can ask them to be frequent, normal, or really not that common. I don't like... I haven't even tried them, so I don't really care. You can choose the world age. This is a really cool feature. Depending on how primeval or ancient your world is, you'll have more dungeons, cults, different types of resources, if I'm not mistaken, different type of fauna. So you can play an ancient world with a bunch of dungeons and ruins to explore, or a really primeval world with not that many dungeons and ruins, but with wild animals, dinosaurs, and stuff like that. You can customize how deadly and dangerous the wilderness is. You are attacked by monsters and beasts throughout the game, so you can have more or less wilderness events, dungeons and stuff happening. You can customize how common magic is. So if you want to play a game with a bunch of magic and mana pools that grant you mana points, ancient evils, cults, dungeons, etc., you can play with a pervasive or common setting. But if you don't fancy magic that much and want more low fantasy setting, you can go to rare or very rare, and you'll have less magic, less mana pools, less dungeons, etc. You can vary the cultures. As far as I can tell, cultures are randomly generated with each playthrough. So it's not like a definite set of cultures, but you know, cultures that randomly get this or that other trait. So you can have a normal variety, low variety. I don't know what unconventional is, but let's leave that in variety, in normal. You can customize the races. If you want to go for a more Lord of the Rings type of setting, you can go for classic settings, where you have your elves and your gnomes and your dwarves and your orcs. If you don't want that, but just a low fantasy, only humans or mostly humans setting, you can choose humans. You are still going to encounter magical creatures and orcs and stuff, but you're probably going to find them only in dungeons and places like that. So if you also have your magic in rare, this setting right now is more like a low fantasy medieval setting than a high fantasy, but I could change this and have the full Bilbo Baggins and his crew, and have a ton of magic. I really don't care that much, so let's get that back to where it was. I don't know what exotic does. As far as I know, well, the randomly generated races is self-explanatory, but the exotic races, I don't know what that option is about. I usually play humans, so let's leave that there. I don't know what this culture override thing is. And you have Marauders, which are bands of robbers and pirates. You can customize them to be more or less frequent, more or less powerful, and you can customize them to scale with you. So if your empire grows big, the Marauder gangs are going to be more powerful and more frequent, and if you don't grow that fast, then the Marauders are going to stay small. I will leave this without further changes. You can choose whether your AI rival is a warlord or a wizard. I really like the warlord settings. I'm going to show that later on, but so far this is okay. I probably play with one easy AIs. You have silly events. I have yet to encounter a silly event. You can click them on and off. It's probably, well, I think it's probably some Terry Pratchett kind of jokes and humor. I have yet to encounter one. I don't know if this is implemented or not. Okay, you can include events related to romance and sexuality. Well, let's have Pruth monastic characters in this gameplay, and you can change the world seed if you want to play again a world you already know, or if you want to play a totally random world. This seed is different every time you customize the game settings. And now you have your wizard selection screen. You can create your custom wizard, choosing what traits and race and magic masteries and so on you want. This is rather complex, so I'm not going to show it right now, but you can choose a pre-made wizard. Let's go with the warlock. So you have a bunch of traits, like this guy is evil, he has a dark pact, and he can summon creatures from other planes. And he also has a small mastery, a +1 in blood, darkness, destruction, and summoning. There's a small description here. Not all of the wizards have descriptions. The artificer, for example, says nothing. The sea witch also doesn't have any description yet, but let's stick to the warlord. Gix Uxal. You can type the name you want, or it will generate a name every time you click through. It's going to be a different character. Here you can customize your banner. The options are okay. You have a bunch of icons here to choose from, or symbols here to choose from. I really would like to have more of them. I mean, 40 is quite a lot, and they are all more or less cool looking, but you know, you could always have more, no? And you could always have these are all like European Middle Ages thing. You could have more Chinese looking icons, or Arabic looking icons, like a scimitar or a Japanese samurai sword, or something or other. But the icons that you have are okay. I don't know how good the mod support for this game is going to be, but changing the graphics, the icons and stuff could be a good thing to start modding. So here we have the game screen and the map screen. And the first thing I want you to notice is every time you start a new game, it's randomly generated, obviously. So now you can see this thing here, the castle. This is how the old graphics of this game used to look like. So it's quite pixely, quite blocky, not really interesting. and this type of graphics are gone now. And now you have these much more interesting graphics. I really like the way they make them. I mean, look at the Wizard Tower with all the detail and how smooth it looks. All of the terrain tiles are actually, if you zoom in, if you fully zoom in, you can see how much detail they have. You usually won't play in that zoom. You're probably going to play more or less in a medium zoom. But you can see how the graphics are okay. I mean, this is a 4x hex game, so you are not in for a 2D 4x hex game. So you're not going to have that many eye candy or effects or anything, but the graphics are pretty nice to look at. There's still a bunch of things that could be worked at, like the rivers. The river, this blue thing here is a river, and it really looks not like a river at all. But most of the graphics are okay. The second thing I want you to notice is when I'm zooming in up to a medium zoom, I can see the name of the buildings, like the castle here, the Wizard Tower, Mysterious Site. These are basically goodie huts. So you send an army to get them, and once they reach, they'll have an effect. It can be good or bad, but it's usually gold and treasure. And if you zoom out a little bit more, you're going to stop having the building names and get the provinces names. And this is quite cool because you actually deal with these provinces a lot. So if you want to, for example, explore a province, High Harp, let's click here and well, let me show you this first. These guys are your followers. You start with 3 followers in every game, unless you choose a specific trait that lets you start with 4 followers with a better relationship between each other. I do know that they can relate to each other, like the options about romancing in the first screen. It's about these guys getting it together, but I have not yet encountered that on the game. What you do have is a bunch of traits, so this is not that complicated. You have well, the type of follower. It can be a bunch of things, like this girl here is a military leader, Matilda is an elder, 40, she's 40 and she's already an elder. Cool. This guy is a berserker, and depending on what you are, the follower is going to have different traits and it's going to be able to do different type of stuff. You also have the traits here, so every trait gives you a plus or a minus. Like she has a plus in warfare, a plus in combat, and she's just, so she has pluses in leadership, honor, and social, but has a minus in dishonorable and subterfuge. So you cannot send Matilda to backstab people or do stuff like that. And what you can do with these followers, you can do actually a bunch of things with these followers. The first thing you can do is to send one of them to explore a province, like let's send this guy. So this guy is going to explore a province, and next turn I'm going to get a report of what this guy found, and probably a couple of hexes are going to appear. The black part is going to be visible. You can also, this is your army, this little shield icon here. I really hope this icon is changed soon. I really don't like the shield. It's kind of boring. But well, anyway, this is your army. You have one unit here. If I produce more units in the army menu, which is here, and I'm not going to explain it in this video, I could recruit swordsmen or whatever. I would be able to make my army bigger and join my units here, but I will show you that later on. The other thing you can do is to assign a general, and when you assign a general, all of the pluses and minuses that are combat related that general have are going to affect your combat and what they can do in combat. And well, that's more or less about it for what you can do with the followers and the armies. The other thing you can do with the followers, you have dungeons in this game, and you can send a party of your followers. This is an older game I had, an older save game I had. You can make a party of your followers, and once you have a party, you can send it to explore you can send it to explore the dungeon, and you can tell that party to be either daring or careful, methodical, and you can tell them to be stealthy or direct. So if you want to party to go all ninja-like, you could tell them, well, be very daring but very stealthy. Or you could tell them to be really meticulous but direct, charge at things but just think them through. And if you send that party, later on you will get a report telling you what they found in the dungeon. They usually level up after exploring a dungeon because they fight and do stuff. You can also get them injured or killed, so it's better not to send just one guy alone because that's probably just suicide by dungeon. And the other thing I wanted to show you is combat. So here I have a way bigger army. I don't have any horsemen, which is a shame because they are really powerful in this game. They have a bunch of units. So every unit has a type of equipment, like sword and padded cloth. The crossbowmen have the crossbow, obviously, a sword and a knife, and so on and so forth. The archers have a primitive bow, a mace, and a long knife. So every unit has different types of attacks and different traits and features. And these guys over here, the mudmen and the golems, these guys were not recruited. Since I am a wizard, I summon. Well, the golems I made, the mudmen I summon, if I'm not mistaken. So you can have units either by binding beasts and stuff like that, or by recruiting human or elven or whatever archers and crossbowmen and what have you, or by summoning elementals or golems or weird creatures and so on. How you recruit things is controlled through your wizard tower. You have, for example, the barracks allow me to recruit better infantry. The archery range allows me to recruit archers, obviously. The stables allow me to recruit mounted units. And other upgrades are made, give me research bonuses like the observatory or the laboratory, and so on. So you have three different ways of combat, of resolving combat in Wizards and Warlords. First, you can send the army. There's a human marauder army, this little pirate flag, the skull and crossbones is Akitea's army. No, Polohesk. Actually, this army is from this city here. So it's actually a human army, but it has the same banner as the Marauders. It should have a different banner, in my opinion. I thought it was a marauding guy. But anyway, let's attack these poor guys and let's see how we fare. So once you decide to attack an army, you can attack either a human army, an elven, or the orc army if you were playing on the classic settings. You can also fight beasts and monsters like wolves and giant spiders, or I don't know, dragons, chimeras, worms, what have you, well, you get this combat screen, and you can either resolve it interactively or auto-resolve. If you choose to resolve it interactively, you are taken to this screen. Here you can group and order your units to have to decide what how your front line is going to be organized. And I do not know what units are facing me, but I know I have more reserves than the other guys, so it's a good situation for me. So I can begin. Now I know what I'm facing, and I can cast a spell. I have 30 mana points that I can use in this combat. I'm going to show magic just after finishing this battle. But basically you can research magic in your wizard tower and get more spells and more effects and summon different creatures. But right now I have Shard Storm and Chaos Bolt. I think both of them are chaos oriented. So I can cast a spell and say attack the swordsman and cast the spell. So I kill 5 of them, which is not that much because it's 100 men each unit. But Shardstorm has an effect which is a -2 in movement. So these guys are going to be slow to reach my units because they are facing the storm. I can click new turn, and now all of the ranged units are going to attack. The swordsmen have the enemy swordsmen have a primitive bow, so they can shoot at me from a distance. And my crossbowmen have crossbows, so they can actually look at the numbers 9, 3, 4, 2, can quite murder them from a distance. And I can cast again a spell. I do think you can cast unlimited amount of spells per turn, and the only thing that's keeping you from casting more spells is your mana. If I choose to cast Chaos Bolt, I can do it in this turn, and as you can see I casted 2 spells on the same combat turn. But then you just click next turn, next turn, next turn, next turn, and every time you click next turn you have a log of what happened. The swordsman kill this guy, the crossbowman kill this other guy, whatever. And here you have the small units. These small numbers are like the position of your units in the battlefield and how strong or weak they are and so on. So I could cast another spell. It's another Shardstorm. And the defenders cast spell, and now the defenders have the -2 movement. And you just basically, even though you are interactively controlling this, you can only click next turn or click retreat. And if you click retreat, the whole army is going to retreat. You cannot tell a single unit, hey you guys, you done your work, pull back, let's have some of the reserves fill your gap. You can't do that. You just have to wait for them to this guy is now no, he's in pursuit. I actually beat the other guy. I thought they were going to get routed. No, actually I'm winning. I thought one of my units just disappeared from my from a rooster down here, and now I have the stone golems filling the gap. So once one of your units is defeated or routed, they go back and you have one of your reserves pull in. I no longer have any mana, so I cannot do anything else. So I can keep clicking until keep clicking next turn until well, it's over. You see how the log is getting longer and longer with all of the things that are going on. And there I actually in other playthroughs I had been beaten by the same army, but now I totally lick them. Victory. So that's one way of having combat in this game. I think it still needs to be beefed in a little. It could be. It could have more options. It should have more terrain effects, for example, like if you are fighting in open spaces, cavalry should be particularly powerful. If you are fighting in a mountain, you archers or other units should be more powerful. But let me show you. Had I not choose to interactively resolve the battle, I could have chosen to auto-resolve, and when you auto-resolve, you basically get two options: either a quick results, which is just a small text about whether you won, lost, or it was an indecisive battle, and how many units were killed or destroyed. But if you choose the detailed explanation, the detailed report, you are going to have a very similar thing to the other screen I was explaining, the other interactively resolving the combat screen. You have both armies facing each other, and every time you click continue, the log gets longer with all that happens in the turn. The stone golem attacked, the swordsmen attack the stone golems with their short swords and kill hit 15, hit 16, 51 damage, but no kills. So you keep on clicking, and basically you click continue until everyone is either dead or fleeing. And well, that's it. And look, since I had a party exploring a dungeon, I cannot start exploring the dungeon because I set the stance to methodical, and I have a reckless party member. And I cannot set it to direct because I don't have a bloodthirsty or martial type party member. So whatever. Well, this is basically the how combat works. Another obviously very strong feature of this game is the magic research. You have magic bounded in three groups: elemental, thaumaturgy, and primordium. And you can research masteries, spells, and lore. And evidently, depending on what you research, if you research magics from the same group, it's going to be synergetic, so you're going to get stronger in that specific group. If you research magics from different groups, well, you're going to get a broader scope, but not the synergetic gameplay that you get when you explore magics of the same group. So, well, you have quests and victory conditions. I'm not going to explain more of that. You have economy, and this is a really cool thing. I do believe that the economy is still a work in progress, because there's a bunch of things that do not make sense. Like, I could sell a bunch of food, and if I sell food again and again, okay. This is, I cannot sell more because I don't have more than 2,000. But the price is fixed. It doesn't get cheap if you dump a bunch of food on the market, nor does it get expensive if you buy a bunch of stuff from the market. So this could be further worked on. But here in the economy window, you can hire workers, which are the guys that are going to build farms. Like, here I have a farm, here I have a vineyard, here I have a hunter's lodge. The graphic is the same, but I guess this is because they have not upgraded this yet. But the effects of every construction are obviously different, and you can also assign workers to your tower. And if you do that, workers for 4. Oh, I have a full house. If you do that, you are going to get more money because the workers are going to be working on your tower. You can also recruit mercenaries. So if you can't, for one reason or another, recruit units, you can hire a mercenary unit, and they are usually expensive and strong. Or you could recruit more followers. So you can expand. You can also gain followers by doing quests or doing different, encountering different random events in the game. But you can also hire them from this window. And I guess that's more or less it for this video. I would like to finish this showing a little bit of what the warlord is supposed to be. So the warlords are quite a work in progress. There's a bunch of things missing. I really don't feel you could get much enjoyment from playing them the way they are now. You can randomize the name of the warlord here, or you can type you can type anything you want, whatever. So, well, the feudal lord is not yet available, as you can easily see, and the tribal chief has very different core mechanics. You have destiny, which allows you to choose among several paths and guide your tribe to one destiny or another. You have nomadic culture. You don't have cities but camps, and those camps can be moved as conditions change. So if you have if the terrain freezes, for example, you can move your camp. If you want to move to a fertile land, you can move your camp. And you can upgrade your camp as well. You can unite the clans. You can subjugate, incorporate other clans to your clan. You get better warriors, and you have quite limited construction. You actually cannot build much in the map, or at all. Well, you have your culture template. I have not tried the other ones. I only have tried humans. I don't know actually what Leonids and bugbears are, but I don't know what a hobgoblin is. I have only played with humans. You can create a random tribal name and a random clan name. The golden snake. So now, when you play with the warlord, it's really, really different from playing with the wizard. You have the tribal destiny thing, where you can choose what type of destiny you want, and once you choose one, let's say I want a tradition and I want shamanism because I'm big on spirits and stuff like that, so I go with shamanism. Once I choose one of these, I could choose from other destinies, I guess, but again, as in Magic, it works in a synergetic way to be very traditional or be very warlike or be very vitality. You can mix and match, but it works better if you don't mix that much. And in the clans window, all of these are clans that belong to your tribe. Each clan has a different set of traits, like tribal conflict, is hostile to a certain city. They have a strong anti-cavalry ability. Some of them want to get married. Some of them want to conquer other places, so on and so forth. And you can gain points with these guys depending on what you do. If this guy dislikes tribal conflict, for example, and I keep attacking other clans within my tribe, this guy is going to have a grudge against me. But if this guy relish on war, and I am a very warlike warlord, then this guy is really going to like me. You can send gifts, arrange marriages, and once this guy likes you enough, you can take control of his tribe and use it to expand and combat and what have you. I was in touch with the developer, and he told me that he was going to build in an option so you could start as a nomad warlord and eventually become non-nomadic and get a city and a normal expansion by building like the one you have with the Wizards. Well, this is it more or less. A bunch of things have not yet been implemented in the Warlord game experience. Most of this is the encyclopedia. More of the things you have here are randomly generated. Like you have a set of number of cult types, and every time it generates, it's going to mix different names and different traits. That's the same with the deities. Where are the deities? You have deities, you can have religious festivals or offerings to the deities. As I was saying, all this is randomly generated every gameplay, so if Seleucus was the god of death, the greater god of death in this playthrough, if I play again, I may get another guy being the greater god of death, or I might not get a god of death at all. It all depends on every playthrough. So, well, this is it. I am really excited about this game. I do think that you might want to wait to get it, because it's really not finished yet. But if you want to support a project that is promising and has really strong core mechanics, this is a very exciting game. If you like 4X games, I advise you to get it. If you like fantasy 4X games like Masters of Magic or something like that, Warlock, I really recommend you to get it. And if you like grand strategy like Crusader Kings or Europa Universalis, well, maybe this game is deep enough for you. It has a bunch of mechanics, it has diplomacy, it has economy, you can build different structures, you can trade in different goods. I really have my grand strategy itch scratched by this game. So, well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoy it. I am really thankful to the developers. This is a really cool gaming experience. I use Linux as my main OS, and I recorded this in Ubuntu Linux, so I am also grateful to the developer for supporting my platform. And well, this is it. I might make a new video later on with the Warlord, but I'll probably do that until the developer has expanded the gameplay with the Warlord. So that's it. I hope you enjoy it, and goodbye.